I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body. And that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Welcome back to Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today we're joined by our NPC USA Classic Physique men's overall champ, also the winner of the light heavyweight class in the open division. I believe he's the only man to do this ever. He's also a new IFBB pro. Dominic Semenza, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dave. It's nice to be here.
I wanted to get you on the show, right after the USA, but there was like 14 shows like in a row, like week to week to week. And then we had the Olympia coming up, and I really didn't want this interview to get lost because I think what you accomplished was really pretty special. First of all, congratulations on the wins and getting the pro card. I do believe I don't know of anyone else who's won the classic overall and the bodybuilding weight class win, and so earned essentially 2 pro cards in the same weekend.
Yeah, I think so. That's when I did it, I'm pretty sure they were like, this is the first time this has been done.
And that's super cool. I mean, I'm glad that they allow that, because you know what, if you could make the weight class in classic and bodybuilding, then you know what, you deserve to be in both classes, right? And you pay the stupid app. I mean, it cost you a fortune to do both classes. But
yeah. And I mean, you think about it, because my weight class for classic it was 182 until I went pro. I was, so I'm not like I was in at an advantage when I was going against the light heavy guy, because that dude was at the top of the class.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'7" and like an inch or two, which gives me that extra bit of weight. So
you look bigger than you really are. So on stage, I think.
Yeah, I've heard that throughout my whole career. You
must have like hollow bones or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, why did you decide to do both? Because you just figured I got 2 shots at winning a pro card? I mean, was that the whole sole reason?
Not so much like 2 shots. Like, honestly, my main focus was classic. That's everything we were going for.
Right.
But my heart was like always true as a pure bodybuilder. When I got into it, there was only open class bodybuilding. And so I love bodybuilding. And we were down there, and Chris was like, do it. Who cares? It lined up where it wasn't going to disrupt my overall look for classic. And it was like, well, let's see what happens. And I love being on stage, and I love battling. So, we're just like, let's do it. And it worked out.
Now, you obviously work with Chris Aceto, and it's funny because Chris said, did you see the guy I helped? I didn't even know what he was talking about. I didn't even know he worked with you, because I saw your pictures, and I didn't know he worked with you. And how did that come about? Because Chris doesn't just take on anyone, Did you have to break his balls a little bit?
I don't know. I've always wanted to work with Chris. I followed Chris my whole career, him and Jay. To me, that was like the duo. And if I was going to work with anybody, it was going to be Chris. Yeah. I tore my bicep before I was going to actually start training for the original day of the show.
Right.
And then COVID hit after my surgery got done. And I was like, you know what? This is it. Like, I need to, see if I can work with Chris. I'm just going to ask. Shot him a DM. We went back and forth, and he was just like, let's go. Let's do it. And
you're lucky, if it wasn't COVID, he probably wouldn't have taken you on.
Honestly, probably not.
Because he took a lot more clients on. Yeah. This year.
It just worked out. And it was just like, as soon as he was like, let's go. Because I was thinking he's going to be like, I don't have time. Like, nobody, who are you? Really.
It's cool when there's no work coming in. Yeah, you have a lot more time to do other stuff.
Oh, yeah. So it was like perfect. And I mean, we just hit the floor running, and everything worked so well.
Yeah, it's funny because you told me a story and I didn't even realize this. I worked with a guy by the name of Nathan DeTracy when he, for his amateur career into his pro career. And he, I helped him turn pro. And you said that, I didn't even know this, but obviously you were there with him when he did turn pro and when I was helping him. So it's kind of ironic. I mean, that was a while ago. So you're not like a newcomer to the sport. I interview some people where they're like, oh yeah, I've been training for a year and a half. And I got my pro card, which is an anomaly, in our sport. You've been doing this for quite some time. When did you actually get started?
My first like real competitive shot at it was in 2008. Yeah. When I worked with Nathan actually to win the Washington State as a middleweight. And then we went to nationals and I made it up to a light heavy and got smoked because that was when people actually showed up for like 40 deep in a class. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no,
I remember it because they were like, there were so many dudes. It was like they cut it down to the top 15 like that before they even started doing quarter turns or call outs.
Right. Yeah. No, I told people, you know, luckily during my entire career, I always made the top 15. You know, I don't think I ever was under top 10, but you know, some guys actually used to go up there and you would do quarter turns and maybe one pose and then you'd go home. They wouldn't even, you wouldn't even be in the prejudging, you know. It was nerve wracking in the 90s and early 2000s because like you said, there were so many guys in the class that if you weren't good enough to make the top 15, you really just wasted your money. You went on vacation is really what you did.
Rude awakening.
Yeah.
You know.
Nowadays, it's like everyone gets a trophy. You know, they let everyone pose usually.
Everybody gets to come up. Yeah, back then they didn't care.
No,
like,
not at all.
If you're not in shape, you're gone.
Yeah. So what happened? You took some time off?
Yeah, because it was like I'm right in that zone where I'm over a little bit of 5'7". I do have a bone structure that works for like classic now, but back then for for open class, it just wasn't. You know, I mean, I would have had to been 240, 235, 225 on stage.
Right.
And when I really started trying to push for that weight to make it to that like division, it started blowing out my waist a bit. And I lost the illusion that my body had. Mm-hmm. So it was before classic. And then, you know, classic comes out. But when it first comes out, it's like 170 some pounds.
Oh yeah. You couldn't make that weight. Yeah.
I would look like crap and I would have to lose like 30, 40 pounds of muscle I worked so hard to put on. So I was just like, whatever, you know, it's just not going to work. And then they bumped the weight up. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. My sweet spot. And that's when I decided to go back into classic and I went to the Emerald Cup because I won the Emerald Cup as a light heavy as well.
What year was that?
2015.
Okay. I mean, those were the people who don't know, the Brad and Elaine Craig have been running the Emerald Cup probably for 35 years. Maybe they're up higher than that now. I don't even know. That show is always a stellar show in the Northwest over there. And back in the day, like in the 90s and early 2000s, guys would actually pay their own way to go out there and sit and sign pictures. Because, I mean, I, as an amateur, I think sold 200 pictures at a show once there. And that's at $10 a piece. You know, you're going home with $2,000 in your pocket. Guys like Flex Wheeler and those guys would make, $5-10 grand sometimes.
Oh yeah.
They couldn't bring enough pictures, because the fans are like ravenous there. And it's just a really, really popular show. And it's all VIP, first class, first rate. So I've been out there to guest post for probably like 5 times. And then Brad and Elaine have brought me out there just to do coverage for RXMuscle. We did a Bros vs. Pros out there. I did a seminar out there. They're always looking to try to, entice high-end people there to bring, I guess, more glitz and glamour to the show and make the fans have a better experience,
Oh, yeah. I remember competing in it, a few times, and I, talked to other competitors. There's people coming from all over to compete in that show because of the name. There's a lot of people that have won that show as an overall and won their pro card. I remember one year back, every female who won overall turned pro.
Yeah, in bodybuilding. Yeah, absolutely.
It was like, so it got that reputation. It was like, go to Emerald Cup. If you win the overall, you're going to go to USA, so you're going to do a national show, and you're going to do just fine.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that was the standard to know, like, you were ready, to go to the next
level. I mean, that people would come up from California to do that show. The California shows went down the tubes for a while before Tamer took it over and really upped the ante there. But bodybuilding wasn't as popular there anymore. It was funny. And then people were going up to compete in Seattle, and that was the big show up there. So I prepared a lot of people for that show. So I guess winning your class there had to be a big feather in your cap, and you're like, all right, I'm on my way, right?
Yeah. That was like, then I knew I could go to the next level. And I went to Junior USA's, took 3rd, and then went to USA's that year as a light heavy and ended up taking 7th. And that was when Cody won it.
Right.
Yeah. And then that was the point where I was like, man, I don't know if I can keep, I tried to go bigger and it just wasn't working.
So was it tough sitting out a couple of years and doing nothing?
Oh yeah, because I love bodybuilding. I mean, I still did it here and there, but yeah, it was always in the back of my mind. And then as soon as the weight class came up, I got excited. So.
Yeah, I mean that's another opportunity, obviously, for you to like say, okay, you know what, I can get back into this thing. I got another chance. It's like when they created women's physique for a lot of the women, they had the same, that same feeling. Hey, I don't have to weigh, 180 pounds on stage. I can be lighter and do well just by coming in ripped. I don't have to walk around in heels. That was the same thing for the women. Now, what's this about? Are you do you have like a gymnastics background?
No, I've always been like athletic. Just anything. That was my little sister. She's was a competitive cheerleader, and so we were just out on the field. I was trying to do like a track day, and she was like showing off. So I had to show her, I can still do a headstand too.
Yeah. By the way, Dominic spelled Dominic's Instagram has a misspelling in it. It's IFFBB Pro Dom Da Vinci. So if you guys want to try to follow him on Instagram, you got to.
That's why my following is probably so low, right?
Yeah, that's right, because people can't find you. Exactly. I couldn't find you. I asked the guy, I said, what's your Instagram? Like, I couldn't find him. And then I realized he spelled his name wrong. He spelled IFBB wrong.
Yeah.
What, were you an athlete growing up?
Yeah, I played all sports. First, it was like baseball and then football, mainly basketball. I grew up in Tacoma, so it was basketball. Basketball was like, you had to be able to play basketball or nobody cared.
Right, but you're not that tall, though. Was that a problem?
No. I was aggressive. I was like the Dennis Rodman. I was always thick and strong, and I could jump real high. I could grab rim when I was just a kid.
Wow, really? That's impressive.
Yeah, and then after that, it's like football, stuff like that. But I always wanted to be a bodybuilder. I mean, honestly, I knew I'd look at a football player's physique, and I was like, I don't want to look like that. So I just stuck to the gym, the weightlifting. My body responded really well, and I just stopped doing recreational sports, and I just focused on bodybuilding.
What do you do for a living now?
I'm also a coach. I try to specialize in muscle rehabilitation and like posture rehabilitation. And I do like your basic weight loss, muscle gain. But what I really try to do is help people relieve from like pain, overuse syndromes, maybe of the shoulder or the hip or the back, things like that.
What do you suggest for posture issues?
I have to assess the person, and you look at their lifestyle stuff. Most likely everybody has like forward hinge syndrome and lower cross syndrome. So like shoulders are rolled forward, which are elongated rhomboids, elevated traps, things like that. So teaching people how to like work the weak muscles, lengthen the short muscles, stop doing the same things they do all day. Because a lot of times people come to the gym and they don't realize the exercises they're doing are a lot of repetitiveness that they do out in the real world.
Right.
So showing them that what to do. And
you're an artist too.
Yeah. My first love was art. My first skill was art. So that's how I learned the majority of everything I know.
Is that you drawing the scapula right there in the spine?
Yeah.
That's your drawing?
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's good. Really nice.
I love drawing anything the human body. The human body is like fascinates me. So.
Right. Did that just come? I always ask because I'm into art too, but this, and I go through these stages where I do a lot of drawing and stuff like that and artistic stuff. And then I don't do anything for like, a year or something like that. It's just I go into these flashes of inspiration. But did that come easy for you, or did you actually like study how to draw?
No, actually, I learned how to draw before I could write.
Really?
Drawing, wow. Yeah, drawing was like the easiest thing. I had a gallery in that'd be like middle school. That's kind of like how I got through everything, was just through drawing.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and I had a scholarship to Cornish, but that wasn't going to be enough. So that's when I got into like a regular job. Then I went to school to get my certification as a trainer.
Right. Yeah, you can't pay the bills being an artist, really, unless you're like.
That's what everybody said too. They're like, you're going to get rich when you die. That's when an artist gets famous.
Right. It's funny. There's this funny story just talking about art. I always followed. I don't. Do you like the Boris Vallejo just stuff? Have you ever seen his fantasy art he does?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of the bodybuilder-ish. He used to use a lot of bodybuilders back in the day, in his art. Yeah. And his ex-wife, I guess, was Doris, not Doris. I forget her name, but she was his ex-wife, Boris Vallejo's ex-wife, was married. Let me think of this. I guess her previous, I think her maiden name was Palumbo, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
So she's got a son, David Palumbo, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And he's an artist, and he's amazing.
Oh,
people
wow.
Sometimes I get people contacting me, asking me art advice.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, but the funny thing, no. Here's the thing. Julie Bell is another fantasy art person. Julie Bell's son is David Palumbo.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And Julie Bell wound up, having a relationship with Boris Vallejo. So my whole life, I have Boris Vallejo and Julie Bell stuff all over my house, like daggers and fantasy art and stuff like that. And freaking Julie Bell's son is Dave Palumbo. And I actually talked to him on the phone. I called him up. I reached out on Facebook and we talked to each other for like 45 minutes about it. I said, it's so weird. I said, you get the same name as me. I get your parents,
art everywhere.
Art everywhere. It's just a weird coincidence. And he does like a lot. He's been commissioned by like Marvel and stuff like that. He's done some pretty high end stuff, art, fantasy artwork, too. So
I'm gonna have to look it up. I want to check.
Yeah. If you like into that, he's awesome. This guy. So it's a weird, connection like that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. Now that you've gotten the pro card, okay, what's the game plan for 2021 when you and Chris have sat down and talked about it?
We're gonna go for the New York Pro
in Classic, I'm assuming.
Yeah. We're gonna go New York Pro Classic.
Now you can. I think the weight class is higher in the pros, correct?
What I've been told and what I think it is, I get another 10 pounds. So I'm guessing it's 192.
Right. So I mean, that's great for you.
Oh yeah, that's amazing for me.
You have to gain weight, right?
What's that?
You have to actually try to put muscle on for that.
Yeah, the last couple of years, I've been just trying to keep myself down. I mean, to make the 182, the year I won the Emerald Cup, I lost 25 pounds overnight.
Wow.
Yeah. And even for this show, we did it a little bit differently for this show, but I still had to, I flew in, I weighed 196 on Tuesday, and then I weighed 182 on the dot on Saturday.
I wanted to bring that up. That's why I put this picture up. You look like an absolute freak in this picture. And when I look at the pictures from the USA, I mean, you're shredded and your shape is good, but you look very flat to me. And I'm sure that's because you had to make weight.
Mm-hmm.
I think this boost in weight now is going to be a huge advantage for you moving into the pro division. Yeah,
I think so too. We won't have to work so hard to bring me into the weight class that I need, which will give me some time. Like I couldn't eat anything really to make that weight. For
you can't carb.
Days. No. And my body takes in a lot of carbs. It's pretty crazy how many carbs for the size of my body that I need on a day-to-day basis.
Right. So, like, what do you walk around now, like in the off season?
Right now, I'm up to 215.
All right.
Yeah. We started the prep at 220 something, but it was a sloppy bad 220 something because I was just coming off the injury. I was like 3 months off the injury. And so
that's got to suck to tear your bicep, and then it's like you're starting over, right? I mean, and then you're afraid, of course, you're going to re-tear it. I'm sure it's got to come into play.
Yeah, a little bit for a little while, but it actually is stronger than the other one now. So it's actually bigger and stronger, and it looks better. Yeah,
I think of all injuries, the bicep injuries tend to heal the best, the quickest too.
Yeah, I was very happy, that you not injuring myself, but it being a bicep. Yeah. I knew that aesthetically my chances were still good, and functionally my chances would still be good. So
I can't tell. I try to spot it. It doesn't really look any different than the other one to me. I'm sure you could tell, but
yeah. And I was I was able to get in. I think I ruptured it, and I was in getting it done 7-10 days later. Oh,
that's always a good thing to do. Also, you didn't tear it intramuscularly like Dorian did. That I think he could never get that fixed. Yeah, that's the way to do it with the bicep. Those things pop pretty. They screw those things right back in easy. What did they attach it to the head of your humerus instead? Yeah,
they just brought it back down. drilled it back in.
Yeah, that was. It's really not. It's just a matter of like just babying it a little bit. For what did they mobilize you for 6 weeks?
No, the way they did it now is as soon as I had it done, I took the cast off and I just let it go.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't take any pain meds or anything like that. I was able to recover it in like 3 months.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, my body heals really fast though. When I actually got in, the surgeon, after I came out of the whole process, he was like, "You tore your arm like a week or two ago, because it looks like it's been 3 weeks. It was healing so fast."
Oh wow!
Like the scar tissue. Yeah, so I was lucky to get in when I did, because otherwise my body he would have had to like, retore it and graft it.
Yeah, no, that would have been
the way it looked. So
right.
Yeah.
What's your best rehab exercises for the SI joint? I saw this on your Instagram.
SI joint would probably.
I sit all day long, and I know a lot of people do, and they get really tight in that area.
A lot of times it's from the hip actually being destabilized. So first you have to get like an SI joint belt. Basically, you just wrap it around the area. It locks and secures the joint, which then allows the muscles of the glute to start firing. Because when you destabilize the SI joint, the piriformis muscle that lies within inside the joint, the deep muscle, all the nerves that stimulate the rest of the glutes get inhibited. And so when they become inhibited, your QL above and below start to overwork. And that's why doing like any exercise,
quadratus lumborum. Yeah, I'm just wanted just for people that don't always talk about,
because the glute muscles are still inhibited, and until you secure the joint and relieve the stress on the piriformis, the muscles won't work. Like
that's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening to me right now. So what do you recommend I do?
Just go on Amazon, and I think it's like the like Spartan name brand, but it's just basically an SI joint belt.
And what does it do? Explain to me.
I'm going to basically just pulls the joint back together and secures it. What's happened is like it's opened up and slightly separated, and that separation causes the piriformis to get stretched and elongated. As it gets stretched and elongated over time, it becomes inflamed. The more it becomes inflamed, the more it inhibits the other muscles, the nerves that run through that.
And that belt won't like weaken things because you're wearing it?
It'll strengthen it. Actually, it's one of the things that it's like my secret weapon, but you had to bring it up. I use for this prep. I had an old injury in my SI joint where I thought I was going to have to retire. I literally like dislocated the joint. It was like the worst injury I've ever had, but I used this belt throughout my whole prep, and allowed me to do deadlifts stronger than I've ever been, squatting. It doesn't. It's not like a crutch. Like if you wear it, because you don't wear it forever. After about 2 weeks is when I recommend people to stop wearing it every day. So the first 2 weeks you wear it all day, 24 hours a day, because then it relieves the piriformis muscle, and then allows.
That's what my piriformis is like on fucking. It's like it feels like someone tied it in 10 freaking knots.
Yes, yeah. So basically, you just wear it all day for 2 weeks.
That belt?
Yes. It's a little bit. Dang it! It's down in my car. It's like that, but it's not all that big and bulky. It's just a Velcro. It's like Centurion. I got it off of Amazon.
I'm looking on Amazon. That's why I'm trying to show you. Is this it right here?
Like that. Yep. Boom. That's the one.
That's the one?
Exactly. That's the one. Love it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then after about 2 weeks, your body will develop its own ability to stabilize the joint now. So then what I recommend people to do is to just wear it when they lift. So at this point, I don't wear it at all until I train. Even on upper body days, you sit in a chair, your body's going to turn that off again. So unless you're wearing that belt, it's not going to.
So would you wear it when you're sitting at the computer?
Yeah, for the first 2 weeks, yeah.
Okay, but then I take it off.
Then you would take it off, and then you would only wear it when you strength train. But somebody like I would probably recommend wearing it, all the time, especially if you do sit a lot, because sitting is going to cause it to become unstable again. Sitting tells your brain to turn off the glute muscle, which then causes the problem to start coming back.
Right. What I did, I bought one of those little, like those, they looks like a little sliver of a Bosu ball. I sit on that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's better, because it kind of allows you to move around a lot.
all those things if it's stable, because your brain's just going to think like, okay, well, we don't have the proper muscles to stabilize this. We got to search elsewhere. So we're going to start using more superficial, bigger muscle. It's always above and below typically that's going to be taken over the workload, right?
So, I mean, because when I walk, other people have told me this too, it's almost like I feel popping and moving. Like I just know things are not working right.
Most likely your glute mid has been inhibited. And so that allows the humerus to like rotate and articulate. So when we walk, and if your glute mid becomes inhibited, you start getting that duck walk where you like, you basically swing it out. And what that's doing is your internal thighs actually causing your leg to move forward to do that. But it's destabilizing the joint big time.
Okay. So wear it all 2 weeks straight every day. All the time.
And then you would do then you could do any exercise, like a hip height to work the glute mid, a hip lift or a bridge to work the glute max.
Right.
And then when you do like soft tissue work on the piriformis at this point, it'll start calming down. Gotcha.
You know, also, I think a lot of people have noticed this also, and people aren't working out. I'm not going to the gym because of the COVID, so I'm doing crappy stuff at home.
Oh, people are sitting way more. You know.
And so I think I've lost muscle there too. So it's also, like you said, I think your body has to compensate, right?
Yeah.
So
it's going to find a way. It doesn't care. You know, it doesn't know why you're doing it. It's just going to go, how do I adapt to this thing that we're doing?
Right.
You know, and that can
Final
lead
question.
to dysfunction.
Final question.
Oh, sorry.
Chris Aceto, are you? I'm assuming you're going to continue working with him. Obviously, it was a good experience.
Oh yeah.
What do you think was the I guess the greatest strength that he helped, or the greatest thing that he maybe did for you that you didn't have in past, I guess contest prep experiences?
Besides like the constant like checking in and photos and just keeping me going that way, so I didn't have to look too far ahead or think about things too much, and just like send them in every day is the same.
Right.
So it made the time go by a lot easier. But the biggest thing was like the dialing it in. Since my body, I can get in shape relatively easy, but I'm really finicky on my water, and so I've done it a few different ways, and I've never got it. It's always been flat, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And it was even worse in previous years, but we were able to do it a little bit better with the circumstances this year, and that excites me going on forward. But I felt the only way I can explain it is like if you ever played a sport and you're in the zone, and you can flex any muscle as hard as you want. I had total control of my entire body, even though I was dehydrated, shredded to the bone, dry. It felt like I was just living now. I had no like cramping, no issues, no nothing. I was fatigued. I was tired, right? But it felt like I could do anything I want with my body. And having that feeling on stage changed everything. My aggression, my ability to like present the way I wanted to. I didn't sweat a drop like all day.
Yeah, you would definitely try on stage, that's for sure.
Yeah, but no cramping, right? Like just Chris, he's like a magician, He's just
it's all about balancing the electrolytes. Yeah.
He's like, okay, send photos in 90 minutes. And I'm like, man, I've never been this hard and dry before. 90 minutes later, I'm harder, drier, and better. And I'm like, whoa, yeah. So doing that process was probably the biggest relief and excitement.
Cool. Yeah. Congratulations on the 2 big wins, and hopefully we'll see you on that stage a little later this year, assuming that we have a contest schedule that takes place. I think that once we hit mid-year, I think, I know a lot of the initial shows have been pushed to kind of like May, June. I think once we get rolling, I think it's going to be pretty good.
I think so too. And I think once we get the big shows to kind of lay down their foundation of when they're going to be, it's going to allow all the other shows to kind of go, okay, we should go here, we should go there, and start building some confidence in the promoters, knowing that they can put on a show and it's going to follow through, and they don't have to like put all their money up and never get a payout.
I really feel bad for the promoters. Those are the guys that are taking the beating with these audiences, limited audiences, and everything like that. Luckily, at least for the big shows, the promoters make most of their money from the entry fees, so it's not too bad. But it's a brave new world for sure. But I just want to once again congratulate you and Chris on the big wins, and we'll be following you into the pro ranks.
Yes. Yeah. Anytime you want to come on, if we want to do an update.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for the info on the rehab type stuff. People love that kind of stuff. I like to ask questions because I always find that all the problems that I think are unique to me are not unique to me, and a lot of people have the same problem. So it's good to put the information out there. You got to be you got to pay it forward, so to speak,
Oh yeah, I love it. So anybody who has got a question or anybody has a similar issue like that, feel free to DM me.
Cool.
No problem. So.
And Dominic probably will change his Instagram by the time this interview goes up, because I made fun of him a little bit because of the misspelling. So just check him out. Check him out at Instagram. Let's look at your name.
You can also, my email is just my first and last name.
Oh, okay. Dominic Semenza.
Yeah. So it's really simple. If you just want to get me on there.
It's on your Instagram too, the Dominic Semenza at hotmail.com.
Yeah.
His Instagram is IFBB Pro, Dom Da Vinci Fitness. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck.
Thanks, Dave.
And guys, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. I'm Dave Palumbo. We'll see you next time.